Okay, ventral cavities. So we have body cavities. We already know what is the cavity in the front, what's the cavity on the back, based on what you've learned so far. What's the word for front? Well, ventral. So the cavity on the front, if there's a cavity on the front, let's make the cavity a little bit bigger. So if there's a cavity on the back, and there are cavities on the front, which one is front? Well, this one is on the front. We're saying that this is forward, this is back, this is dorsal. And these are cavities, and they contain structures. So the ventral cavity actually contains some other structures inside. In the chest, what would you call the chest? Thorax. So thoracic cavity contains the heart and lungs. If I just talk about the two cavities on the side, so in English we have singular for one, and anything that is two or more is considered plural. So the lungs are contained in their own separate spaces, and they are called pleural cavities. The membrane that sits around the lungs are also known as pleural membrane. So pleural cavity, referring to the cavity around the lungs. If I say heart and lungs, be careful, then it's thoracic. If I say just lungs, then it's plural. And in between the two, in the middle, is something we call mediastinum. Mediastinum, mediastinum. These are subdivisions all of the ventral cavity. The abdomen and the pelvis they're actually one large container, but we have an imaginary line that divides the two. The abdomen is just abdominal cavity, and then the one here that contains the bladder is called the pelvic cavity. Okay, so abdominal cavity contains all of your internal organs other than the heart and lungs, which are found in the thoracic cavity. If I want to be specific, I say the pleural cavity for the lungs. Mediastinum is the middle. It's not really a cavity, it's just an open space. But there's one more, wrapping around the heart in the front. They say pericardial sac, pericardial cavity, and that is the space or the cavity container that wraps around the heart. What about dorsal? Dorsal, there's only two structures. They're part of the CNS or central nervous system. One is the brain, the other is the spinal cord. So we have brain, we call it cranial cavity that contains the brain. And then the spinal cord is just a spinal cavity, and that contains the spinal cord. There we go, cavities are done. You guys can take a look at all of these, and like I said, thoracic mediastinum is not necessarily a cavity, but it does have the pericardial cavity that surrounds the heart. Pleural cavities refer to the lungs. Thoracic cavity contains all of the above. Ventral is the combination of everything. Thoracic, so ventral is all of this. Thoracic, abdominal, and pelvic. Dorsal is cranial and spinal cavities. Very good, and we are pretty much done. This is just showing you imaging of all the different cavities and what's contained in each. And right, left, like I said, right, left. There we go, directional terms. Do you guys remember? What is going closer to the point of origin? Proximal, closer to the point of origin. Proximal. Medial is